Mm. Welcome for welcome
Great
everybody.
Rises
Happy
family.
Saturday.
Happy Saturday, guys.
Happy
A
Saturday.
beautiful Saturday.
Happy
Absolutely.
streaming
We celebrate.
Saturday.
How
Well,
y'all
take some
feeling,
serious
y'all? How y'all feeling?
I am always thankful and grateful. So,
Definitely
Mm.
fabulous as always.
I'm feeling super great, man. I got 4 more days with my tooth like this.
Woo, glory be unto God.
Won't
Praise
he do
Jesus.
it?
It's almost over. Won't he do it? Won't he do
Won't he
it,
do it?
Cuzzo?
How
Hallelujah.
many days?
What you about to almost be taking you to get an open face?
4.
I can't. I will not with that. Y'all wrong for that.
It's actually a pretty good point. That would be that's not a bad move, you know. It kind of would work.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, good to see y'all, man. Good to see y'all.
Anywho,
So I'm yeah, I mean, so yeah, this is a show. Okay, so I know it's weird. It's kind of weird. So what this is right now, of course, this is we are not in the studio as y'all see. We are doing a special COVID episode, if you will. So we are shooting live from StreamYard. We are all in the comforts of our home. If y'all hear my dogs in the background, please forgive me. They do a lot of noises. Let's not think about that. But yes, of course, y'all know who I am. I'm your host, Chucky Love. Go Bears. And we're 4-1. Just wanted to throw that in there. Today's episode is about parenting and the family structure. So, of course, you know about me. We're going to go ahead and introduce everybody. Of course, to the side of me, you see, we got Kay McCole. How you doing, sis? How you feeling?
Hey, everybody. Feeling fabulous as
You look good,
always.
girl.
Well, that's great because I have no makeup on today. I'm doing the mommy thing. I'm actually sitting in North Highlands with my children having pizza at Freedy.
Okay.
Okay.
I love
okay.
your hair. I love your hair.
Good Sunday vibes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sunday.
And of
You
course,
said
Saturday.
Did you say Sunday? Kev, are you?
Saturday
Are
vibe.
you on
Oh,
another day?
Saturday. Oh yeah,
Yes,
my bad. I'm
we're
throwed
coming up
off.
on my mom's birthday tomorrow, and of course, y'all know my mom is deceased. So I always like really be kind of going in during this time. So we did ice skating and stuff yesterday. Today we've been jumping and what do you call it? What do
the
you call
bounce
it?
house
Bungee jumping stuff. No bounce house. My kids too big for this.
or the
Uh,
trampoline.
the trampoline. We did the little skydiving joint. We've been thugging
Oh,
it, and
y'all
now
active.
I had to get
Nice.
somewhere where I could post up and feed them and get on with y'all.
Yeah,
So
y'all
all right.
active.
For sure. And of course, we're gonna keep it going on with the ladies. We got Shay speaks to my top. I don't know.
Good.
It looks like that.
Is
Shay
it big?
speaks. How you doing today, darling? How you feeling?
Hey, happy Saturday, guys.
Saturday.
Even though my Falcons losing, so I can't say like go Falcons. Man, forget y'all, man. I don't care.
Yeah, we did beat y'all, huh?
Hey.
Mm,
Why you gotta be bringing up old stuff? No, that was old.
mm.
Okay.
4-1.
Yes.
Anyway,
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. I'm excited about getting ready to talk about some parenting and some family structure, and this is going to be interesting.
yeah, for sure, for
Mhm.
sure. Especially since everybody trapped with their kids right now, right? All right. And of course, and I didn't forget about you, Miss Sharon. You're our special guest, okay? So above us, we got cousin Kevin, or everything too funny, as y'all know. What's
Peace,
going
love, and
on with you,
light.
cuzzo?
Everything magnificent at the crib, posted right now. I'll
Yeah,
probably get my daughter tomorrow. They out of school. They just now about to do their fall break.
yeah.
Right.
They had
Yeah, the
birthdays,
So
girls on
right?
their fire
They
break
just
too.
have.
yeah.
Right.
So they last to get there. So
Mhm.
be be on duty all week. But yeah, we're about to get
Mhm.
into this episode, talk about cultivating your kids, different parenting styles, and all of the above. So I'm excited about this too. You know, communication, all these things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And I just gotta say, man, on everything inside me, you are an amazing father, dog. I've watched you since you was
Um,
14, dog. You didn't
Aww.
have this kid. You had him since all right.
I
But
appreciate you,
he is
brother.
great, though, man. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So
That's so
I just
beautiful.
wanted to throw that on out there.
Tender, Kay. It's
And
tender.
uh,
Mm.
And of course, you know everybody that makes us us. That's how you feel show, and that's for this special COVID edition. But we have a guest that you may know or remember from another episode that we had a couple of weeks ago. Miss Sharon Reed, the Heart Lady.
Yes,
We
the
didn't
hot
have
doctor.
All right.
we only had but so much time for her before, so we definitely wanted to get her back in to share the knowledge that she has and the wisdom, and you know, and she's gonna be with us the whole episode, so it ain't just no
That's
you know,
good
just
stuff.
jump in
It's
for a
good stuff.
second. She might even ask us some questions or whatever, so it's you know, it's going to be a great show. We got a little bit, we're doing it a little bit different. We won't take up your whole Saturday. It's going to be a nice little clean hour. It's going to be a lot of education.
We get it
Lot of
done.
dogs
Right.
Shut your mouth.
COVID
Yeah,
edition.
education.
COVID edition. Okay.
Right. Shut your mouth.
Oh, good.
Oh, be
Okay,
nice
so,
to them.
No,
They doing what
so
they
yes,
supposed
Miss
to
Sharon,
do.
how are you feeling?
I know.
I am absolutely wonderful. I'm honored to be amongst you all again. And don't worry about them dogs. They doing what they supposed to do. They supposed to bark. Hey, but
I
I
think
am.
they trying to be parents.
Oh well, that's what we get
Oh,
ready to talk about: family structures, and I'm would like to bring some good, unique perspectives as always, and so let's just have some fun and let's really try to understand what's the difference from between, I guess, the 1940s to the 2012, which we call
Yeah.
the
21st
pre-baby
century.
boomers to now the Gen
Mhm.
Zs, right? And how
Right.
we all fit in that and how we relate and communicate to
Mhm.
each other.
Mhm.
right. Yes. Yes.
So with that being said, I know I'm sorry I had to run off and go get the dogs. You see they were spazzing, but they're cool now. At the end of the day, this episode is about new age parenting and the family structure. So if y'all don't know what that means, it's pretty clear. Parenting as a whole, we are millennials. All of us here on the panel are parents. And
Yes.
we all, I think we had this discussion before. We all fit in as millennials because we 84 and okay. So,
She said no. She said no. Don't play. Don't
man,
play.
82
So
to like that's not no.
It's not millennial.
no, you can have
Man,
it.
man,
The
please
millennials,
somebody. If
well, the
y'all are watching
millenniums
the show,
really are. I think if let's go in order. You've got the GI generation is when it kind of really started, and that was like from the early 1900s to about 1924, just around the First World War One. And then yeah, after that, you had the traditional generation, which was 1925 to 1945. And then you have my category, the baby boomers. And I ain't gonna tell you that, so y'all figure
She
out how
said
old I
yeah.
am. Baby
My mama
boomers,
was a baby
all right,
boomer.
those that
My
were
mama was
born
a baby boomer.
in the from the 40s to the mid 1960s. So we're not giving away our age, right, Kay? And then
Right,
really
that's it.
from 1965 or so to 1980, then we had the Generation X's.
mm-hmm.
And then from the 80s to the 90s, you have the millennials,
I
right? Or
told
Generation
y'all.
Y.
I'm
Absolutely. You
Generation
were
X
right.
though. Right, but I'm Generation X. I'm very aware. That's all I
84.
Yeah. And then
So
the last, from about, some say 2012, some say 2015, but from that
Generation
era
Y.
on to where we are now is the Gen Zs,
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right?
right.
Generation
Gen
Z.
Z.
Which I find, I must say, I was talking to my husband about it last night, and I was like, it's interesting. I deal with a lot of conspiracies. I was like, it's interesting that this last generation here is called Generation Z. I wonder if
It is.
that's for purpose. Because after Z, what? If you're
Oh,
going
I
in a
got it.
cycle,
That's
it's coming to
nothing.
A, right? And I
Right.
was like, that new generation is going to be the AI generation, right?
Oh,
Isn't
that's
that deep?
good.
Man, before we get
That's
into look,
good.
we will
Shit.
get to that part of this conversation as
hey,
Lexi
Man,
is on the show.
That's
We are
good.
about
Now that
to
gives you something to think about.
that
man,
like the
I'm
Matrix or something.
right,
That
I
right.
makes
was
sense
like,
though.
thought about that last night. I was like, oh, is
never
this
miss
on
Sharon
purpose
talk. I
or
just
what?
list. I just
Right, right. She usually be like,
Message.
That's true.
So we're gonna go ahead and go to the news really quick. Shay
Okay.
speaks news as always. So yeah, Shay, what you got for us? What's in the news? It ain't been much, huh? It ain't been.
They haven't been, well, it's the same old, same old. So for the news, of course, guys, it is election time. You're supposed to get out and go vote, right? That's, okay, anyway. So
Yeah.
also, of course, it's been the debate.
Yeah.
I don't know, has everyone watched the debate?
Yep.
The presidential debate, the
Yep.
vice president, no, Kate
Yep.
says no.
I
Can't
watched.
watch.
I watched both. I watched both of them.
Oh, you
I
watched
didn't
both?
watch. I didn't
I
watch the
watched both of them.
presidential one, but I was at my aunt's house, so I ended up watching the vice presidential debate. Which that's all I have to say.
Yeah, just a fly. It was a fly on his head. I was tripping when I seen that
Right.
junk live.
I
I
have
ain't
to
never
say
seen it.
this. I have to say this. Okay, since you brought up about a fly, this part I do have to say. And y'all know I ain't really big on like cursing all like that. But with anybody else when they saw the fly on his head, think about shit.
Shit.
Exactly. That's what the whole thing was. Either he the
I
shit
literally was
or
like,
he full of shit.
You say
full
the
of shit. That's literally what I thought about. I was like, if that's what it is, bro, you full of shit. Like that's where flies come from. When you see
Yeah.
a swarm and
Right.
it just got stuck in his hair. I had to screenshot it, but y'all
Yeah,
know
it
I
just
ain't really.
stayed there.
Yeah. Flies don't stick
Yeah.
around like that.
That's
It just
yeah,
stayed
that was
That's
there.
good shit.
a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little weird. That's funny. Okay.
But that's crazy though. So yeah, what's interesting about everything that's happening, in a couple of months, or not a couple of months, but next month, guys, of course, we will have our political episode when we'll talk about our presidential ideas and nominations locally, federally, and all that good stuff. Sorry if it's coming out a little sideways, but either way though, so we will have that conversation. Right now though, what I'm finding interesting because of everything that's going on when you have these conversations with people, I know for a fact I've had at least 3 people tell me to vote. Like, you don't vote for Biden. Like, first of all, I'm just gonna say you can't tell me who to vote for. Secondly, I respect everyone who's died for our right to vote. I have the right to vote if I want to, and the right to not. And I personally, I don't know where I'm at with that. You know what I'm saying? I know some of our conversations, people like, man, I think Chuck gonna vote for Trump. No, I don't like Trump, dog. What I don't like is either one of them, to be honest. And I don't know who I want to vote for.
That's every election. It's always pick your poison.
So so until I have something that makes me feel better about it, you can't pressure me into voting. So once again, people stop telling people who to vote for or to vote. If they don't want to, they don't have to. And if they do, let them. I feel worse about voting in either a pedo or a weirdo. And then, you know what I'm saying? And I'm supposed to just be like, anyway. So
If anything, we're supposed to be lobbying instead of voting. We need to put some money
yeah,
behind it.
where are our
If you
demands? We
vote,
don't have no.
if you voting and you ain't got no money behind it and no demands behind it, you just begging. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You need to be
Right.
lobbying. You know what I mean? Have your own politicians. Put that money out there. They gotta respect you. Then they gotta honor your vote.
And we ain't got nothing up. We ain't got nothing up. Right now, it's nothing up. But I get we all gonna vote for Biden, right? Because we just got to get Orange out of there. All right.
You can vote for Kanye.
You voted for Kanye. Oh no.
No, I
Oh,
said he can. I was giving him another option. I was saying he can.
oh.
You can write in the vote for yourself.
You were right
Exactly.
in
See
independent.
that?
Go ahead. Right in it. You seen and actually, did you see where Shaq, right? Shaquille O'Neal was his first time voting and like at 48 years old.
For real?
First time voting. Like, what? Okay.
This will be the
I
first
know
time I
that.
didn't vote. If I didn't vote, this will be the first time I didn't.
Okay.
And I'm
That's how you feel?
36.
Okay.
Been doing it for a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah,
I don't like,
care,
but you know what? I'm not, my mom's really big on it. I think that, and I don't know, Miss Sharon, because you are of a different generation. So it's like, and your generation, are you guys still kind of moving towards, just, continue to vote, things gonna get better, or are y'all like, you know, y'all in between
You better
having
vote.
to pick the lesser of two
Two
evils, as they
evils.
like to call it, right?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of emphasis more on the presidential, and the the ones that make the laws, the legislation, the more local ones are the ones that impact our everyday life.
Yeah.
And so I really feel like that I do believe that you should exercise your right to vote.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the reason why I had a young person ask me, well, I'm just not going to vote. Give me one good reason why I should even consider voting. And I said that I was of that thought trend years ago too. But when you really think, and Kay, you alluded to it, you said that when you think about all those that died, and I remember back in the early 80s when there were lines, miles and miles of lines of people in South Africa to vote for their first time or to vote for someone that they believed in, like Mandiba, God bless him. And for those that right here in America, those who died and fought for the right just to have the
Be able to do it,
privilege,
right?
I
Sure.
feel like it's an
Right, right.
honor to be able to cast your vote. And you can say you
Yeah.
still vote and not vote for the presidential election, because
Right.
remember, when we're voting, it's not saying we're just kind of giving the popular vote because it's the electoral vote.
Correct.
And we don't know how squeaky clean they really are. But
Right.
I do know that we
And
have
Facts,
more of an
facts.
impact on our local votes and who we can get,
exactly.
and we can
Y'all
lobby
will
that
always
and put
do.
the
You
money, like you
definitely
And,
do
said.
that.
Yeah,
and
like you said, because the
Right,
money goes into
right.
where we
that's
lobby. And I think we
exactly.
have more strength there. So whether I decide to
Yeah.
vote in the presidential election does not say that I don't vote.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's
Thank you for
really
saying that.
that's
Exactly.
that for me,
Exactly.
exactly what you said is my whole point. Like I hear people saying, oh well, but I know some people who they only vote because it's a presidential election. I realize your vote don't really, excuse me, mean dog doo doo.
Mhm.
But you voting then and you didn't vote in none of these local elections to make sure that somebody that was after what you believe in, what you
Right.
are wanting for your community, for your state to be taken care of, because them
Yeah.
electoral colleges, votes, and all of that kind of stuff. I when I initially went to school, because I was between being a lawyer because I felt like I could always argue a point, and political
Hmm.
science. Political science because I was so fascinated with politics. Like, and I probably could have been a good politician, a real good politician, not sketchy.
Hmm.
But I feel like people get so lost in this presidential side, and I realize that it really don't matter who you vote for in the presidential election if you didn't put the right people in on the
Absolutely.
local and
Right.
the state level. If you didn't do that, they voting for the way that it is. And I
You saw how the
I
governor
really
just
would
played this.
pose. I really would pose for people to look at to watch House of Cards. I feel
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah, that tell
if you
you
want to know
that
how the
should break that
government
shit all the
really
way down.
works, man, it break it
That's
down.
exactly
Hmm.
That
how it
whip,
works.
that whole. I'm telling you, after already going to school and just doing a lot of research when I was in school and running for school government and all of that kind of stuff, man, that's the real. If you really want to know what that fixer that Olivia Pope stuff, they
Yeah.
naturalize it a lot with the sexual part. But if you got lost in the fact of what's really being getting fixed and all the people who don't have, the kind of force behind like the Breonna Taylors and the Floyd got, like all of that. If somebody ain't pushing hard enough, it's a lot of people. That Chandra Levy thing, like all of that stuff is happening all
Oh
over the
yeah.
world, and we ain't taking care of stuff on a local level. You not
Yeah.
getting that stuff taken care of. So at the end of the day, I feel like on one hand, it's like the lesser of two evils. I personally I'm personally over Trump with the crazy stuff, and I feel like
Yep.
just keeping it 100. I feel like they can't control him, and he's let
No.
them know that no matter what you have in play, you won't control me. I
No.
run you, you don't run me.
All right. And he keep
Very
going
much,
crazy.
very much. I'm master, and y'all the plantation, and you need to know that.
Mhm.
So in terms of Biden, I just feel like he can be controlled, and he know how to follow instructions.
Yeah, I
So
feel you. I feel
if
you.
if we
We'd
got to
rather
do
have
one,
him that you can
yeah,
control.
I'd rather have somebody who is a sister who looking out for us and is trying to move some stuff and can be in his ear and he'll listen than somebody who don't listen to
Yeah.
nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dig it. I dig it.
Cool. That's how she felt. I mean,
That's how she
That's
feels.
How you
literally how I
feel?
feel.
like, you know what I'm saying?
That's how you
I feel like when
feel.
you get to the place where you won't listen to nobody, you're of no good to anybody.
Yeah. Like Donald Trump with COVID.
COVID, right. So let's jump on to Donald Trump, guys. Of course, as you guys do have know, Donald Trump has contracted COVID. Same thing, right?
Do y'all think he really did?
If
What
he
do y'all
did, I don't think that he could have
Do I think
healed
he
up
really
and
got
been
it?
that great so quick.
Yeah. How do you feel? How you feel about it? How you feel
I
about
got
it?
I got a very interesting point of view from somebody, because initially I was like, never to wish dead on anybody. But I was like, well, maybe that's what, because he already said he probably wasn't gonna give the presidency up, just go and run and leave, give over power. So I was like, it could be very karma.
If God just
And
knock him off right before.
that
And
was
they'll
the
be like the
thought.
Simpsons. They be like the Simpsons was struggling. They always was getting right since now.
So that
Nah,
was
COVID just
that was initially one of my thoughts.
Right.
But
Don't wish
then
death on
somebody,
nobody.
oh no, not wishing. I'm just saying that was my thought.
It
I'll
wouldn't
be
have been
very
like,
honest.
that's okay. That's cool. I dig it.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
dig it.
hey, this. I just felt like it
If
could
it
happen
happened,
now.
like,
After you done talked all of this junk and said that it wasn't real, and now
yeah,
you
no,
got
that's
it, and
real.
it take you out of here. Because remember, this is the same man who said that there were insignificant lives
Right.
of all
Like
the
Herman
people
Cain.
that have died.
Herman
Right,
Cain.
So I'm just saying the next one. But the point of view that came to me that was very interesting to me, very, very interesting, was that maybe he doesn't have it, and that he's going to use it as a way to put,
Yeah.
the cure out there, and that will be how he gets elected, because he came up with a cure for
That's
COVID
interesting.
and get
That's
everybody out.
interesting.
Now that was real. I said that too. I hadn't even looked at it
right.
from that point of view, so
he's
I thought
already
that was real
advertising
interesting
it.
too.
I
Yeah,
think
He's
come
already,
on in.
I
he
saw
already
that they were saying
advertised.
they might got to. Yeah, my bad. Go ahead, Coco. I'm sorry.
I about to say he's already advertising the drugs. That shit was it's all cap for real. You know what I'm saying? Cap. COVID done made a whole comeback in the news outlet. Now you got, it was quiet, and now you got Trump with it. You got NFL players with it. You got Trey Songz with it.
Y'all
You
finna say
got
you got
this.
Trey Songz with it?
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So now you about to see a whole nother reemergence of all these influencers and celebrities that got COVID, and then Trump got COVID. He the biggest one. He get out like the next day, he riding around, and then he talking about some. I took Revella, some shit. Like it's like some shit made by America. Like it's like he probably made the drug himself. They got Johnson and Johnson. They got the baby powder people making the drug. He's
He
like,
probably used the Chinese remedies that they use over there.
Right.
yeah, he's talking about some. I might be immune. I might be immune. I'm
trying
I'm
these
feeling
bleach.
better than I did 20 years ago. I was like, dang. And when he took that mask off, though, he was up there like, he was up there breathing like that dude in Harlem Nights when he put him in that safe. Like,
right.
he could barely
Right,
breathe,
that's
man. I was
crazy. The
like,
way you breathing was a
so I
little
don't
weird.
know.
Like,
Like,
why
I
is he
don't know.
breathing like
So when I seen that, I was like, either he doing a bad job acting or something, but I
Mhm.
don't know, man. Everybody, as soon as this weather changed, man, everybody woke up with their throat scratching. Just didn't nobody want to say nothing
Right.
because they scared to
Right. I caught
get
my
This
put. They
is
can't
big.
go to
mic.
work. They can't
Yeah,
go to
this
work
is
or they
big
can't go to
allergy
school.
season. So,
Exactly.
that?
those things are not going to stop. It's
Yeah.
big
You're gonna
allergy
wake up feeling
season.
some kind of way. Yeah.
I think
October to May is flu season. You know what I'm saying? So October 1st, that's when Trump get, you know what I'm saying, COVID. But he
Mhm.
already
Yeah,
say
interesting,
he
right? Yeah.
right.
I think he's trying to gain sympathy. I think,
Yeah, that's what they say.
especially as crazy as that last debate was, the next day or 2 days later he catches it. So now we can at least rehumanize him and
Right.
try to understand, like, hey,
I
like
thought he was
he
real.
could have had this the whole time.
I thought it
And
was
now,
real selfish. I didn't like the fact that he says, "Well, I took some drugs and now I'm okay and everything is all right." I said, "So if y'all got drugs for it, why isn't there
Right.
drugs for everybody else?" I
right,
thought that was not tasteful to say
like
that.
the
Oh, I was
historic
took it
win.
because if I had it and suffering, and you standing up there saying
Yeah.
I want to know why I wouldn't have that access to the drug.
Why
So
wouldn't
I didn't think
Americans
that
have it?
gave him any points in my, for me.
If Americans are first, why
Drugs out
Americans don't
there,
have
you
it?
can't get them.
It's crazy.
Right.
It's wild, man. See, like, yeah, it's. I think that right there is a big part of why people have a problem with Trump anyway, because now it's after 4 years, it's become apparent how much he doesn't care about family, and the fact that Biden at least can demonstrate some sort of resemblance of what the American household looks like. He's doing better in the numbers with ease. Kamala Harris, they are more relatable. They look like people who represent who we are and what we're trying to represent now as an American. So, I get it. I understand. And that goes into exactly today's topic, which I said before is parenting and the family structure, which, we, like I said, we are all parents. I have one kid, a 17-year-old daughter. I guess everyone can talk about, whatever they all want to do. So we'll do that right now. Everybody can take a minute or two to talk about how we feel about that. So how do you feel? How you feel, Shay, about family structure, being a parent?
Well, I didn't think you was gonna call on me first.
Okay, we can go to court.
Nah. Cool. How I feel about family structure, I think that it's I feel like it's very important. It's a lot going on. It's a lot of change in the household, how the family structure looks, whether it's a one parent, no parent, same sex parent, you know what I'm saying? The family structure dynamic has definitely changed over the years. So it's really about just finding a way that you can navigate through the changes and being able to adapt to those changes in the family environment and the family structure nowadays. But yeah, my kids, I had to make sure they grew up, and my kids did grow up for majority of their life, or at least half of their life, with their fathers. So both the parents were in the household. So to me, of course, I feel like that is definitely important to carry that on. I think that it's good to have both balanced woman and man in the household to create that structure together and give a balance. That's how I feel about it.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So then next up, what you, Cuzzo? What you
Well,
tell me?
I
Tell me
grew
how.
up with
Yeah, tell me your family, how you feel about parenting and the family structure.
well, I grew up with both my parents in the household slick, you know what I'm saying? And basically, I don't know. I ain't really need no parent after about 12 years old and shit. I was already out off the porch. So, but really, once I had my own kid at 15, you know what I'm saying? I got two daughters, 21 and 14. Um, I've been a parent more than I have been a damn child in my life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I more so be focusing on that parenting because the family structure, it's like it's so many variables that go with that. Like it really, whatever the situation is, I still feel like there's like no excuse. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make the best out of what that situation and get the most out of what you can. Your kids, whatever the situation is. You know what I'm saying? If you are a person that get them on the weekends, or if you talk to them on the phone, or you in jail and you writing letters or whatever it is, you have to stay, you know what I'm saying, in tune and in touch with your kids, you know what I'm saying? So the family structure, it's so many different ways, you know what I mean? I know people with come from great households, you know, both their parents, they got money, they end up in jail trying to do too much. And then I know people that, you know, like they just had a mother in their home and she was at work all the time and they did great. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Mhm.
it's so many
Right.
different styles, but parenting was very important. You know what I mean? Instead of just keeping kids alive, I always say a lot of parents just keep their kids alive. That's what they think parenting
Mm,
is. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mm,
you know what I mean? You just helping them survive. When they hungry, you feeding them. You know what I mean?
mm,
And then you got their little phone they can look at. You keeping them entertained and you keeping them fed. Ain't really no cultivating, no teaching, no guidance,
Right.
no
mhm,
communication. Like these things are way more important than just buying some shoes and some
mm,
clothes on the weekend, and
mm.
you know what I'm saying.
And
Not
this
really
is
talk about nothing, being real topical. Like your realest conversation should be with your kids. You know what I mean? Like
true.
way more so than your partner, or your mate, or your whatever. Like you need to be having like the realest. Y'all should have that kind of dialogue. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that's how I feel about that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Okay. And of course, UK, how you feel about parenting and the family structure? What does it mean to you?
You know, this is like a
Motherhood.
real. This is a huge. This whole thought process of all of this is really big for me, and y'all know. But I personally feel like really kind of touching on everybody, even Shay saying like she really do believe that it should be a mother and a father in the home. I grew up in a single family, by a single mother, and my mom had husband. My mom was married 3 times, so it was somebody in the house at some point. But I don't feel like they really brought value to the situation. Um, and I think that as somebody who's been a single mother, and I was in with my older 2 daughters. Me and their dad was together for a good bit of time, but it wasn't a healthy relationship. And so I feel like, yes, while I think that it's a good idea and it's great if you can have a um, 2-parent household that the 2 parents can be adults and they can raise their children and so on and so forth. And yes, I think that is a beautiful thing. If they can, really get it together and it's for the best interest of the children. But if that is not the case and you can't be together, I think that it is very important that you cultivate a great co-parenting relationship that does not have the residue of whatever the B to the S was going on in your relationship, because it has nothing to do with the raising of your children. And I think that oftentimes, as Kevin said, like uh, you're not thinking about the well-roundedness of the mental and emotional well-being of your children, and you're so busy trying to show that you're the better parent when really you're just showing that you are a bitter person. I think that it is so important that you raise the child that is your child. For lack of a better way to put it, raise your child. You're who they are, who they would like to be. I think so many times we're so busy putting the airs that the other generations who raised us. Oh well, when I was okay, but did that work for you? Was you sneaking and doing all of this stuff because that wasn't what you wanted, or were you hoping that they said that your voice meant something? I heard somebody say on Instagram, a video I was looking at, it said, when I grew up, a child was seen and not heard. But the problem with that is, as somebody who does life coaching, who does motivational speaking, now I have grown men and women who don't know their voice, who are still trying to figure out who in the hell they are, who they want to be, what is their style, what do they like, because nobody ever told them that their voice was valuable. And so, in me, who I'm raising all daughters, I am very big on saying your voice is valuable. Let's be clear, I'm not down for disrespect on no end, but can we have conversation? Absolutely. My 11-year-old told me the other day, when I say it made my heart scream, because there's a woman now who has gone through low self-esteem, negative body image, bad relationships, all of these different things, to hear my child say, oh no, if a boy wants to actually like me or wants to be my boyfriend and he don't feel like I'm enough for him, that he has to talk and look for these things, then he can step. Listen, I feel like I've done a hell of a
Right.
job. The fact that you
Right.
realize that you're enough, that you know your self-worth, that you realize that can't nobody validate you because you are valid, because you exist. Those things, it means something to me, because again, there are so many, and I charge myself on a regular basis that I don't want to be fixing the world in my fixing the world and my house is crumbling all around me. All my kids sneaking around and I don't know what the hell going on. You feel what I'm saying? Like all of that. And that's what happened. We saving the world and forgetting that our world started in our home. So
Right.
I feel like, yeah, it's great. A lot of the things, even with Corey, like he grew up way different than me. But what I value is that our life experiences and what we would like for our children and how we would like for them to be raised. It does. It plays a major role in how we you know, we do things. I have a very open communication with my kids. Why? Because I want to know. I don't want to be the one that said, "Oh my God, I had no idea." Child go blow up the school. Oh, they was busy in the garage. I had no idea that they was tinkering with goddamn bomb. You see what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like
Right.
everybody can give all these excuses as to why. And y'all know how my schedule is. I have definitely been in been in times where my schedule was overtaking my ability to parent. But then I prioritized what was important to me. That's why even while we doing this podcast right now, I can literally turn the camera around. Do y'all see my children over there eating pizza? And my niece, it's not just me. I put time in all the way around. While this is something that's important to me, that's something that's important to me. And them knowing that I work and I get out here and hustle, why I work for myself, why they know me to be an entrepreneur, because they know I get out here and get it. But I get out here and get it because I want them to understand that I do what I want to do. I do what I believe is my gift. I do and give to the world what I would like them to have. I let them see what I would like for them to see. And you have those same options.
Right.
But you have to make the right decisions in order to be able to do that. And I think that we get so lost in the fact of saying, do as I say, not as I do. Well, why not be the example? A post I posted on Instagram the other day when I posted about the business that I started with the kids, Rep Your Hood brand, was because I think so many times parents get lost in saying, when you step out this door, you represent me. But hell, when you step out the door, you represent them. That's just the truth. And if you want somebody to respect you as their mother or respect you as, you know, I've never been, you had to call me Miss Moffitt. I've always Miss Courtney or Miss K or whatever the case may be. But you ain't never seen Miss Courtney or Miss K thotting and bopping and popping and locking on nobody nothing because I'm somebody's mama. And I think that you should think about a lot of those things because then you feel some kind of way when that's where your children are, and it's like, well, that's not how I was raised. Well, they may not have been how they was raised, but they showed the example they saw.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they either gonna mimic that, they either gonna mimic it, or they'll never do that shit what you
Right.
did. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Right.
And
Because I
so
grew up around a whole bunch. I grew up around a whole bunch of stuff, but it's like I learned from what not to do. You know what I'm saying? Nobody taught it to me, but it's like, nah, I ain't about to
Watch
move
you to
like
do
that.
that. Right. Right. Right.
But yeah, go ahead,
What
drop
about
us
you,
some
Miss Sharon?
gems and share.
How do you feel about parenting and the family structure? I'll go after you.
Okay. I feel like parenting is the most important job you will ever have. I
Facts.
think that we have not, many of us, myself included, having children was not planned for a lot of us. And when I say planned, because when you bring a new life into this world, we just don't have a baby. We create a whole new vibration in the world. And when you have a child, what happens in the woman's womb, all her feelings, all the fears, the anxiety, all the happiness, the good things, because it's not only bad things, but it is that, the very essence that we are also bringing to that new child. And so, really understanding what's going in our bodies. Uh, and also, what I want to talk about a little later is the uh, the genetics of having children is important. So if I was to give a message, it would be like if you're gonna have sex and you know that you're having unprotected sex, or you know that you're gonna, if whoever you lay down with, I used to tell my boys and girls, whoever you lay down with and you're not being protecting them, then you should be looking at that person as, oh, this could be my prospective child's father or
Right.
child's mother. And I think that that should be really something
Period.
that we talk to our children about, whoever you sleep with. And then even if you do say wear a condom, right, that slips, as they say, slips off. I think we should be conscious enough to know where we are we ready to bring a child into this world and how it impacts your life and your family's life. So I don't mean to preach here, but that's my essence. Being as a, I started out as a young parent too. So I felt like it's the most important job we have because we are molding a whole new generation. Uh,
Yeah.
Family is today, the new definition is family is who the family identifies themselves to be with. right?
Right.
Because Shay, you talked about 3 different types of family, and as I was thinking about what to say for this episode, I kind of identified 8 different type of family structures. So you got the nuclear family, which was really the mother, the father, and the child, right? And then you had the married parents, two they're married and they have children, so they're calling that a family, right? Then you got the single parent family, right? And then you got the no parent family, right?
Mhm.
And those that may have just brought up with other members or other caregivers.
Right.
And of course, now we have the same-sex families, and many of us,
Right.
especially
That just
those
came
of
out in like 2018.
right. And then we got the I call it traditional, but it is a family that is from our ancestry, from our ancestry, African ancestry. We have the extended family, right?
Like
And then we
polygamy.
have the blended family. So you know about blended families, and we know the Partridge family, the
Okay.
definition of the blended family.
Right, Brady Bunch.
And then what also is new, Chuck and what else is new is it's not new. It's always been, but it's always been around from what I know is the cohabiting family. So that I'm
Right.
calling that the family where you got the father and the mother in the house, but they're not living as husband and wife. They're more living like roommates. And we got a child, so we're trying to make it work. You got
Right.
that type of structure. And so there are a multitude of that's just what 7, 8 different
Yeah.
types
Yeah.
of family structures that our children are going are working towards,
Yeah.
working and living in, I should say.
Right.
And so, the larger the family, the more complex the family dynamics. The smaller the families, the more struggle of the assumed roles that we have. Who is the leader and who is, the decision maker and who should do that and all of those create. But what we didn't talk about too? The culture, right? Your culture,
Right.
right? And
That's
it
what's
could be as
important.
simple as those that from down south and those from up north. 2 different cultures right there. Those from the west side, those from the east side. Different cultures, and we bring our environment. We bring how we were brought up. Okay, I know you can identify, Shay, you too, that we always said, I ain't gonna do like my mama did. But all of a sudden,
So much. You think about
you hear
all of those things. That's the truth. You hear your mom in your ear, or you hear. I think one of the things that I deal with is that my mom was a hollerer, and it's something I always say, like, I don't want to holler, I don't want to holler.
yeah,
But
Holla, holla,
I
holla,
think
holla, 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 holla,
I,
holla.
I would find myself hollering, like, what are you
yeah,
doing? Why are you doing
Right.
that?
yeah.
But it's so funny, the revelation that I got, and again, I had to be grown. But when my mom passed away, I used to not understand why she wasn't as she didn't push as much as I saw her. My mom was like a mentor to a lot of students. Like, she's a grant. She had written a grant. She got some camps that are still going out. But what tripped me out is that all the students, even when she died, they would be like, "Man, your mom is why I finished school. Your mom is why I'm a doctor. Your mom is this." All of these different things, and I used to be like, she would push them, but then she would kind of coddle them in a way too. And I used to be like, that's just so crazy because she don't do that to us. Like she holler and it's like, hey, but as I got older or in just being an adult, I realized the reason that she did that was for her, it's like you are a part of me. And because you are a part of me, it's in you. I know that it's in you. So when you don't do what I know is in you because you come from me, it bothers me. So I holler because I holler out of my frustration for it. You feel what I'm saying? But what I had to realize in my own parenting style is you do come from me. And because I know you come from me, I also know the strongholds that you battle. I know the generational curses that come with it. I know all of these things of trying to figure out who you are. So I talk different. It's like, okay, you do you really think that that was the best way to handle that? Is there another? If you had slowed down, would that have been better? Like those are the things that I say instead of what the hell are you doing? Why did you do that? Like
Right.
because all that they have
Constructive.
completely, because they done stopped listening. The second I raise my voice, they're no longer listening. But if I come at them like, okay, so I tell you what, this is not right. You fix it, and then when you finish fixing it, let me know how you came up with the solution. Like, I'm not finna just sit here and try to figure, because I'm not always going to be here. And y'all know, like, I went through a really bad health scare at the beginning of the year and everything, all of that. And so I really was in a place where I may not be here. You know what I'm saying? And so I've always been really big for my kids to realize y'all got each other and you have to depend on each other. You can't bicker, you can't fight. Like, because if anything happened, I need what I have taught you thus far to take you on. And so I think that if we take some of the things that we did, like she was saying, from our parents that we didn't like and all that, because there were some values in there, because those values are why you are able to look back at some of those things that you didn't like and figure out how you can tweak it for your children. Does that make sense?
Right.
So yeah.
I kind of wanted to touch on a couple of things that was said. Kay, I know you mentioned that when your children go out the house, they represent you. Uh, and I've always
Hey,
told my kids that when you go out the house, you represent yourself, you
Oh, definitely.
represent your family, you represent your community at large, and you represent your race. And so we want to always remember
Remember all
that
this.
it's not just you, but
Oh,
it
no,
is.
no,
And
no,
I
no.
had a,
At all times. No,
yeah,
trust me.
yeah,
That it is. I said that in reference to the fact that's what my mom used to tell
yeah,
us.
yeah,
You need to be careful, because when you go out, you represent me.
yeah.
People think I haven't. You ain't been raised about this. But
Right.
what I have always considered is I don't just represent you. I represent me. I
That's
tell
what I said.
everybody every
Yourself
day,
first.
yes, I
Absolutely.
am a
Hmm.
brand. I represent Chemical as a brand. But even in me representing that, I'm representing the fact that even in my brand, I am somebody mama. Period.
Yeah, and so it does go all the way down. And so I know that I would say that the other thing that you said that I wanted to touch on before, time goes down, because when we're having fun, time really goes quickly.
I know,
Generational
right?
curses, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Generational
Mm.
curses, and I touched on that when I said from the womb, right? That we bring our stuff consciously and unconsciously to our children. And so, how do we deal with generational karma or healing those
woo,
wounds? Because,
woo.
we go back at
I see.
least 4 generations of what we bring,
Right.
emotional trauma.
I got
And
something for you,
so,
Miss Sharon. I
Right.
yeah,
got
so
something for you.
we bring it's a collective vibration, really. And how do we really heal that? I know that we heal it by being more conscious, as I said, being who we lay with and why and how we're bringing a child into this world. I
Mhm.
know that we can break a generational curse by saying it stops with me.
Right.
And I know that we can heal a generational karma or a curse with forgiveness, really showing forgiveness and compassion for maybe how you were brought up, and you resent how you were brought up, and
Right.
the
The full
trauma that
healing
you went through.
process.
Yeah, going
Yeah,
through
you got to
the
go through the
whole
whole
healing
process.
process. Yeah. And then my clients know me as what you learn. What did you learn? What is the lesson? What do you need
Right.
to know about it? Ask the questions and then find the solutions. So
Absolutely.
those are just some of the things that I think that we need to really pay attention to,
Right.
because like I said, generation after the generation Z, we're laying the foundation with our kids now. I have 8 grandchildren, right? My oldest
Wow.
grandchild is 18. My
Oh,
youngest
Wow.
grandchild is 4, and I got the ranges in between. So,
Mm.
as an elder and a matriarch in my family, because both of my parents are deceased, so I have to hold up my end as the female goddess in my family,
mhm.
and
Right.
I'm thankful that
I like how
my
you put
husband.
that.
Right, right,
Put that as the matriarch. You know what I'm
But
saying?
right.
hey, but then also I give thanks and I'm
Sound better than
thankful
Big
that
Mama.
my husband is part of it, because I've been with my husband for over 40 years. So family dynamics is real important. And I'd love to, to ask you, what is the message that you want to give those who are raising young children? Because I have one daughter who has especially now during this era with homeschooling and trying to figure out, do I make my child sick, or do I make them stupid? That's what she said. She said, because if they go to school, they have a chance to be sick. If they stay at home with the way that the
Whoa, that's
homeschooling
good.
is,
Wow.
they ain't getting smart. So I was like, I don't even know what to do. Do I quit my job so I can be home so my children can make sure they're doing the proper school? Or do I take the risk that they're going to go to school and get sick? So that's a hard choice. And she has a preschooler, she has an elementary, she has a middle school, and a high schooler.
Mm.
So so I really had to feel for those that are going through this. So tell
Yes.
me, what message do we have talking about family and family structure? Do we have to give the young folks, or for those who are just having children? What is
Well,
it that we really want to say?
I got one for you. So you just mentioned generational curses, and it's interesting because this is how life works, right? So um, I I grew up in a household with my mother and my father. My mother had both of my sisters before I was born. By the time my dad met my mom, they were already like 6 and 8 years old. Uh, I'm the only kid out of that. My dad was married a couple of times, but he had a daughter. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't meet her until I was in my late 20s. But my father raised me, my sister. Like, I don't know nothing other than a traditional mother and father with siblings household. But I got a sister in St. Louis that knows nothing about it. It's just her and her mom. So this is how this is a generational curse. And this is, I didn't realize I was fighting to break this. And everyone, I guess, who knows me knows, you know what I'm saying? I have my daughter, she's 17. I'm estranged from her. You know, when I had her when I was like 19, 20, me and her mom got into it. Never violent, never physically. But we had a lot of differentiating ideas about a lot of stuff, and we didn't get along. So anyway, um, so basically I was led to believe that the child wasn't mine. So time went on, you know what I mean? Eventually I was able to get in her life. People do not know how hard that is for anybody. I learned that it's a term for that, and it's called parental alienation. And it's almost a legal term. Well, it is a legal term, and there's a actual list of behavioral traits that are a byproduct of parental alienation. But anyway, so the way this is wrapping around is my generational curse that I've been trying to break out of, because believe it or not, I'm not. I had to think about if I was even going to speak on this or not. But you know, in the pursuit of getting my daughter, I had to take her mom to court and all of this stuff, and it cost me a lot of money, and it was a very long fight to do so. In the process of doing that, I asked a lot of people, like, how do I go about this? Including my parents, including my dad. And it was probably not the best person to ask, because he left my sister, you know what I mean, in another state. And truth be told, his advice was like, just wait till she get older. She'll come talk to you then. But it was against who I am and every day I was thinking about my daughter, or it still do, you know what I mean? And at the time, she was like still like 9 years old, right? So all I knew is I needed to not do what my dad did, because at this point in life, I've talked to my sister, and she, you know what I mean? She don't resent him, but she also just don't care. You know what I mean? They don't have a relationship. And so at this point, it's like, he can be here for his grandkids, when I'm straight. And I tried everything to try to keep that from happening for my circumstance.
Okay.
I too, just like my father, ended up having a daughter at that, whose life I wasn't a part of. I've always wanted to be. So I ain't gonna say that my daddy has it, but I've actually pursued it with that behind me, always knowing like that was the situation. So did I beat it? uh uh the situation between me and my daughter, honestly, you know what I mean, right now, it's still a work in progress. She doesn't care for me too tough because I've been gone so long. So it's really now about cultivating that relationship. And the family structure was something that breaking up was something I never imagined, because I didn't grow up with that. You know, I never imagined myself having kids that I wasn't actively in their life. Even if me and the mama one together, which I never even considered that. You know what I mean? So let alone to actually have one that I can't. And my daughter's amazing. So to see how she's like me and da da da, but none of that is a direct. It is genetically, like you would say, madam, but none of that has been something that I've had a direct or a daily influence on. So anything that I see, it's all genetic, and it kills me to kind of see it but not do nothing about it. The flip side of that.
So you have the opportunity to do something about it, because number one, you recognize it. And since you recognize it, I would say that you're obligated to do something about it if you're calling it a generational curse in a negative perspective. And so you have girl children who are going to be carrying, God willing, another child, let's say, so do one. And so you have the opportunity to change that.
I don't want to be a grandparent yet.
Woo, man, say that
again. They got no choice.
Like, whew.
Yeah. So
it was trying just to hear that, and not at all. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sure you
Yeah.
I don't want
all of that. I was just gonna say, and I'm done. And that's that goes into all of how I feel, and I'm as crazy as that sounded, or as much as I thought that my situation.
Can y'all hear me?
Can y'all hear me? Okay, I can hear you. Okay, yeah. So as crazy and as unique as I thought my circumstance was, it's not, man. You know, it's when I first started speaking about it online and on social media, of course, I got a lot of support from people in person or on the wall, on the comments, but the people that slid into my DMs or in my private messages and telling me their story, man, you know what I'm saying? And not just men, women are alienated from their children too. And not even to say that the parent is actively keeping them from you. They could have already done enough damage to the point where the child just doesn't care. You know what I mean? Or subconsciously, because they don't care, the kid has picked up on those same behaviors or emotions. They see how you treat the parent. Like, you might not say nothing negative out your mouth, but your actions is all I don't care. All, you know what I'm saying? They ain't nothing, or da 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 da. You know, and the kid will pick up on that. Never mind what you say. And I've been more affected by that than anything else. So it's a journey. I thought my journey was gonna be over once the lawyer was like, "She's yours," you know, and I'm like, "I knew she was mine. I told you, nigga."
It's a lifelong journey.
It was not the end of it.
Yeah, you said it. Children do what they see, not necessarily what you tell them or what they hear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So as long as my daughter, Trent, if you watching this, just know, baby, daddy loves you, and I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm not the best, but All right. So, get out of that moment. So, Miss Sharon, let me ask you: when you deal with people that are in our late 20s, mid 30s, upper 30s, and we want to try to instill some of these lost traits or behaviors or morals or standards or codes that we grew up on, like, how do we tap into that? How do we find the bridge for that? Emotion.
How do we communicate? What is the effective communication style?
Yeah.
Well, I find it really interesting because, there is that saying that we're putting out, you do you. It's all about you, and don't worry about anybody else. And I think that has some good and some bad effects. But when my clients that come to me are in that age, the biggest issue that they have relationship wise is communication, right? So you were right on target with that. I asked them, where are they arguing? And no one is, most of them are not cognizant that they are arguing in front of their children. So when we're talking about trying to build a better relationship or build a generation that is a little bit more balanced, we have to think about, as you were saying, Shay, how do we communicate? And
Right.
as you said, Chuck, the children see what's going on. So I have a couple who said that their daughter is 5 years old, and at 5 years old they are able to play one against the other. And so the child will directly manipulate the mother. And when she can't get her way, she'll go to the father and complain about the mother. And then and then she knows exactly when I can go to mom and complain about dad. And so
Right.
you'll have to be on the same page. How you
Mhm.
discipline the child has to be the same. Even if I have a daughter who child goes to their father on the weekend, and the child has been disciplined during the week for not doing schoolwork or chores or whatever it is. And I said, well, you need to make sure you call the dad and let the dad know that they are punishment, and the disciplinary action needs to be reinforced. Because the child comes to me and says, well, I don't care, because when I go to my dad's house, I could do whatever I want. So
Exactly.
here is the miscommunication. And here you're sending mixed messages. And here you're also teaching how you're going to treat the woman, say if it's my grandson, I told my daughter, teaching him how to treat women. The father is showing him how you treat women or men. And so they are learning these. We got to be really conscious of what our behaviors are teaching,
Right.
not our
Right.
words and what we're saying, but our behaviors. What are they teaching?
Mhm.
How am I in my household? Even if it's a woman who is being abused, physically abused, and and the child sees it and knows it. But a lot of cases show that, hey, this is the way that you treat a woman. And then, oh, this is how the woman should respond, or the man should respond. And so it's
Right.
so very important. This is the hardest job we will ever have. And it's so important to be conscious of how we act and continue with our self-development. And now, because we're at an age where it's informational age and everything is up there, we're in the Google it age, right?
Right.
Mhm.
We have to be conscious to show. We have to be able to really be courageous and strong in ourselves. And it is about talking to our children on how you feel. It really is how you feel about that. And why did you do that? And no,
Right.
you can't do that, not because I said so, but no, because of these are the consequences. And if it's no, giving options on what you can do. No, you can't go outside and play today because it's raining, but you can go outside and play later on or tomorrow while you're in the house. What would you like to do? Those are
I
some
tell you,
other different options
I
that
don't
we
mean to
can
cut
give
you
our
off, Miss
children.
Sharon. Let me tell
Mhm.
you something. These punishment babies ain't nothing like us whooping babies, okay?
Hello.
Why they out here going crazy
Right.
and stuff. Y'all used to get beat by the entire neighborhood, and y'all got
Yeah.
great
Time
Yeah.
morals
out.
and standards. We just used to get whooped by y'all, and we are okay. But these kids don't get whooped by nobody, and they is
That's right.
out here running rampant.
You telling the truth there, because I got a
Nah,
daughter who
that's
says, I
real.
don't hit my children. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I wish
Right.
you.
damn
Right.
fool got no
I
color.
wish you
But
could still hit them.
but
Yeah,
you
They
can't
go
because
tell their
you can
counselor.
call
They
the
go
police.
snitch.
right,
Yeah, they go
Right.
snitch
Yeah.
to the
right.
counselor. See, back in the
Right.
day, my mama used
Arrested.
to
Yeah.
hand me the phone. I tell
Right.
my mama call the police.
Yeah,
She'll hand me
call
the
the
phone.
police. And I'll whip you in front of
Yeah,
the police.
and
Mhm.
say you can't
Yeah,
come
I've
back.
had that
You can't come back.
conversation too.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
But I have
Hey,
five
Go on and
my
run
children,
kids
and
away.
be
it's to
like that for
learn
real
your
too.
children. Because I have one child that from they were 2, 3 years old, you couldn't yell at them.
Yeah,
Yelling
Mhm.
at them was
shut
like
down.
beating them. Then
Right.
I had another child who was the most cantankerous, who used to get the whooping. And
Right,
he was like, oh, well,
Nothing.
they can whoop me all they want because I get stronger and stronger. So I
right.
couldn't whoop him
You
anymore.
get to that point.
But punishment was like, whoa, that was tear jerking,
Mm.
And then I had one that didn't need any punishment too. Let's talk, let's reason, let's understand why you're doing this. And they got it. And so it's also important to learn your child's personality. And I know
Exactly.
y'all heard about the love language, but they also have the child language as well. And to
Exactly.
be
I
able
was just
to
talking to somebody
really
about that
learn them,
yesterday.
because every child is different.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
are going to, and Shay, you said it earlier, a healthy family adapts healthier behaviors, and a healthy family
Yeah.
understands changes and what's going in the world. Because we got what 72% of our children, 9 hours is what most of our children are on social media, right? Or any type of media, whether it's gaming, whether it's TV or whatever, about 9 hours of the day, right? And this generation here is way different from the past, because what are they saying? 72% of the generation now says, I'm going to own my own business. Back in my day, and my parents grew us up to go to college. You got to get a good job. You got to be a car. Now, today, these kids are like, oh no, I don't have to work for nobody else. I'm not renting. I'm buying.
Like,
I'm owning.
That's right.
Yeah.
Be struggling and looking and frustrated and mad like y'all. Yeah, we straight on that. Them kids are smart, man. These kids are smart.
So the other thing is that we as parents, and especially me as the grandmother in this group here, I have to continually learn new stuff. I have to continually ask and try new stuff. And I have to be able to understand where they are and where they came from, so that I can be able to communicate with them so they will listen. And that I'm not just preaching to them, but they are listening and giving them, like you said earlier, Kay, giving them the opportunity to ask questions and feel as though we are, that they can talk to us. Yeah. So I don't believe in this thing, though, that they have, and I know it's going to be very controversial. I don't believe in being my child's best friend.
Right.
Okay, I don't even believe that my husband is my best friend. Man. He's my husband, and my child is my child, and those are different lanes.
And there's a friendship, and there's a friendship within that. But we can't be best friends, right? Because what I do with my best friend, I can. It's you. You are limiting what you can do. But I am definitely. It's so funny because my father-in-law is upset with me right now, and I'm okay with it. Because he feels that I shouldn't pop my 1-year-old. That's you and your business. Right. That's my child. And so he feels like, well, what he says is, and I'm a pop if I want to. Please believe it. But this is the thing about it. Y'all have heard Cora Michelle in the background and everything like that. But the thing is, I don't have to pop her often because I have let her know, and she's been popped. So I can literally raise my hand and she'd be like, oh, she ain't playing.
You know what it is.
I can look, even with my older children from years, I can look at them a certain way and they be like, okay.
Get your God now.
But that's what I'm saying. But it came because I trained up a child in the way. That's all
you whooped them like they
feel
needed
some
to be
kind of
whooped
way
because you whooped.
No, I feel like this. You feel some kind of way that because she's doing something she don't have no business, you say no. Well, she not scared of you. So you say no, and she look at you like, you ain't finna do nothing. Because that's what you taught her. However, her mama is in the room with her same one, and she have great grandparents. Please don't get twisted. She does. But when her mama is in the same room and she does something, and I say, no, Cora Michelle, no, and she'll look, and she literally, to the point she do it to her grandmama when she knows she's doing something wrong. She be like, because you know, because you have been taught not to do that, or
because behind that is this.
Yeah, the back end.
No, honey, you say no. You say you want pop. She say, She's one. But what I say that to say that I've taught her to not do certain things, and you need to know right from wrong. It's kids walking around slapping their parents and saying all of this crazy stuff to their parents and stuff, and then they have the audacity for some people think that mess is cute, and then don't even realize that somebody is talking behind their doggone back like, ain't no way in the world. They're laughing at you, not with you. They're laughing at you. And I don't care what nobody say. I can stake my name as a mama on this. Anybody who know me as a mama will tell you I have the best, well-behaved, well-dressed children. When all other kids is wreaking havoc, I could be in a room and walk in and be like, wait a minute. Hey, all the kids sit down. I'm quick to say, what, is it my children too? And I've never, not one time have I ever had to hear, Yeah, it was Aiden and Jay too. They be like, no, you know Aiden and Jay sitting that. Yeah, they're skipping. They sure
I know
is.
the little goon. I get it.
Yeah.
It's a different. I just feel like
Right.
I feel like the respect level of what you allow. Don't get me wrong. It ain't like Aiden and Jay don't do their things, but certain stuff I've always been raised at the fact of even in you being who you are. And my children are. When I say polar opposites, they are polar opposites.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
they are themselves, and even in being themselves, they understand that they have been raised to be respectful and respected. And so, because of that, they understand the boundaries. Like I said, and having conversation over the last couple of days has been so amazing. Y'all know I'm going through my own child custody stuff right now. But it's been so amazing because I've had my middle daughter home more. But I'm the primary parent, but her visitation with her dad, she's with him seemingly more because of school days and so on and so forth. But I say all that to say, just having those moments to talk and being glad that we do have open communication, because she's telling me different things and all of this, and I like it because I'm so glad that me as a mama wanting to be able to spend more time with her because she's not home on a regular basis when when I can spend more time with Aiden. Then because of that, it's like, man, I had a great day, just me, her, and the baby the other day. But I say all of that. I'm sorry, we just picked Corey up from work and he don't realize that I'm live because he's talking. Corey just started a new chef gig, so I apologize if y'all hear him in the background talking about fish and grits. But anyway, he started hollering fish and grits. I'm looking at him like, sir. But anyway, sorry. But no, and being able, like I said, just to spend that time with her. But I say that because oftentimes, a lot of times, parents think that they think that buying your child something or going to get them something new in lieu of having a conversation and spending time makes it better.
Right.
But I can be very honest in doing a craft or going and creating something with my kids. For them, that's the time that they want. It ain't necessarily, oh, mama, go buy. Because what I have found that even when I go buy something that they may want or whatever the case may be, I done bought it and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't care to spend no more extra time, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm with you, Kay. You know I'm with you,
Right.
Kay. You know I'm with you. We
All
talk
right.
about it. Okay, so the last, I got this one question that, so I think we all, I think for the most part, are to some degree either spiritual or religious. When raising a family or creating a family, it's very important that, or at least it's been understood that it should be God first, then man, then wife, then kids, or however that. Do we still agree with that? Do we think that that's still a functioning or functional way to go about trying to bring about a family? Or are there newer ways, or are there alternative ways to raising a family religiously or spiritually? Let's say, one parent is religious and the other is spiritual and totally not religious at all. Is that doable? We can, anybody has an individual opinion about it. It's interesting, and the reason why I bring that up is because that'll change drastically the way you raise a family. So,
I disagree.
Let's say as the man in my situation or any kind of situation, if I wanted to bring up a family, of course it would need to be according to the Bible, right? God first, Christ first, and then comes down to me. I taking that word and what I learned from him, I make sure that I lead my family in Christ, or in the word. My wife would follow behind that and teach that to our children, of course, or whatever. It's like a trickle down type thing. Whereas, let's say if you're not necessarily religious, then it would be more so of a focus, I would like to think, of just raising good humans without the because I know some people who won't even get involved with other people if their religion doesn't match. If I'm Christian and you're not Christian, there's no way that could ever work. Or, you know what I mean? Which my parents aren't the same. Like my daddy is like one of them. What's the P one? Pentecostal.
He said
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian. I was finna say pescatarian, but
A
that's
pes-
like fish,
a
right?
Presby- a
Oh,
Protestant,
Protestant. He the P.
Protestant.
He the P one.
A
And
It's a
Protestant is
lot of
someone
you know,
P's.
other.
Pentecostal, Presbyterian,
okay.
it's a lot of P's.
yeah, he one of them. And I've never seen him go to church ever in my life. And my mom is completely spiritual. We hadn't had to go to church since I was like 13. But they had
So
still been able to raise us in the family, in the household. But uniquely, my sister, one of my sisters is totally religious. Another one of them, she rock with it a little bit, but not too much. Me, I'm heavily spiritual. You can catch me a little bit with a little religious stuff because I listen to everything, but I'm primarily spiritual. So now we're all just kind of different. We all have been able to accept whatever we felt worked best for us, which I think is best case scenario. But you got some kids that are forced to be raised in a Christian household, and it could be a very strict household to where them the ones that turn out to be freaks, like they say, right? You know,
oh yeah, because
because
you're
they've been
trying to fit into a certain mold.
Right.
because they don't know.
Yeah,
You said that,
right.
Kay. You said that too, because this whole time they had to live life and not. So by the time they really
According
get
to an
out and experience stuff, they
unrealistic
a whole
frame. Unrealistic. But I feel like, so just to piggyback off that question, I personally feel like in doing that, okay, so everybody know how I feel about religion, my Christianity. I feel like I'm a believer. I feel like I do believe in God, but I think where the religion part, I feel like where the religion part messes up a lot of people is you so, and my bishop says this, you so heavenly bound, you know, earthly good. You put so many stigmas on people about what they should be because they are this, instead of the fact that people don't even know who the hell they are. So how am I going to be a better Christian if I can't be a better Courtney first?
There you
And
go.
a lot of times people don't look at that because they're looking at, again, we go back to the family structure, how they were raised. Like I have a client who mom is a pastor, dad is a bishop. So she's held herself to a certain standard. But is that standard realistic in the world that you live? Matter of fact, is that standard realistic in the life that you really want to live? I've been told so many times, girl, you know, you'll make a great pastor. I don't feel like having a church and standing behind a pulpit is my calling. Do I feel like God has called me to be a voice? Yes, but I feel like it could be on any platform, and I don't want to be restricted to the walls of nobody's church, and I don't want to be restricted to the bylaws of nobody's religion, because at the end of the day, what I believe is that we are people, and we need to learn to love people for who they are, not for what they will be, not for what they can bring to us, but give people the opportunity to be who the hell they are, not all the woes and everything that everybody say, oh well, you should be this, or you know, your mom was this, so you're gonna be that. I feel like you don't give people the chance to be who they are. And because if we take it back to the beginning of this conversation, because we never let them know that their voices were valid, they don't know who the hell to listen to. The internal voice that we should listen to in our head, that subconscious, if you will, that women's intuition, if you will, you question all of that. Why? Because nobody ever validated that voice for you. Nobody ever said, no, be who you want to be. And I think that that's why now in this generation, the Generation Z, or whatever the case, why a lot of these kids, seemingly to a lot of us, are wilding, it's because I'm a Generation X, but what it is that they came from those parents who are the Generation X and the millennials that said, be who you want to be. Who do you feel? What do you feel on the inside? And they're listening to voices that people that go back to the baby boomers, all of these other generations are like, what in the hell is going on? Why are these children bringing them up? But the truth of the matter
all
is,
of us look crazy now.
Right, but all of these things have been going on. They were just going on in silence. They were going on behind closed doors, but that didn't mean that they weren't happening. And so I just feel like when you get to a place where you can be authentically you, whoever that is, whatever it is. I don't care if you want to walk around with purple hair, a nose ring with a bull hole in your nose, whatever. If that's who you feel and that's how you feel comfortable, then you go for that. We so busy looking at what society views as socially and societally acceptable that we don't realize we are the society. And what's socially acceptable to me is okay for me. I don't look for no validation for nobody else because, as I said, and I say this all the time, the fact that I live makes me valuable.
Right.
I think that, when it comes to, when it comes to religion in particular, and it actually playing a role in the family structure, I've had, and I don't knock anyone for what they believe, right? Because I'm going to accept you as who you are. It's really about evolving into the better version of yourself, to the best version of yourself, right? And so I've been a Christian before. I've done spirituality. I've dipped my toe in a little Jehovah Witness. I've done it. I've studied here. So I've
You knock on people's doors?
No, I ain't knocking on nobody door. I don't do all that now.
I'm just kidding.
I ain't get that deep into it. When it came to, hey, I want you to use my Bible instead of yours. Now I'm straight. So I think that at the end of the day, when it becomes, religion and how it plays a role, with growing up, my kids, from their younger ages in elementary school, we had been a Christian family. We went to church, we prayed, XYZ. And so as I got, and they grew up got a little older, mom started finding her own, path, right? So she started going into spirituality, and daddy still stayed with the Christianity. So it's like, so the house did become a little divided. Unlike Chuck, your parents, they were able to make it work, right? Your beliefs didn't have to cross over to my beliefs, and we still could raise a family, as such.
Or
and
they didn't impose each other. It wasn't like your belief is
right. I'm not gonna hold you back. Right. And that was great, because when I grew up, my parents, I didn't grow up in a church going household. I wasn't raised that way. And so I thank my parents for that, even though they didn't know what they were doing. There is no there is no handbook to parenting, right? So you kind of are just either going for what you've learned by seeing your parents do, or you're using that to motivate you to kind of move in your own direction to raise your family and the family structure. And so when religion plays a role in it, I make sure that my kids are very spiritual, right? So it's up to you. I'm not going to judge you either way. I'm going to love you regardless. I'm your mom. Okay. Right. At the end of the day, however you want to move, it's totally fine. But just know that this is where mom stands. I'm going to, give you the knowledge. Now, what you do with it is up to you. Yeah. But you can't never say, I never told you how to love yourself, how to be yourself, and how to focus on, self-evolution over religious, or, you know what I mean? So that's my take on it.
And you ain't got to like me, but you're
right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I didn't have to say that. Cool. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't have to say it. You know what I mean? She's like, I don't care about you, nigga. I'm like, you ain't got to care, but you gonna respect me.
Yeah. And I think I would wrap it up, your question, Chuck, by just saying that ultimately we're going to, as parents, you're going to bring your children up to what you know, and to the best way that you can if you're conscientious off of it. At the end of the day, when the child now becomes an adult, they are responsible for their own spirituality.
Facts.
Yep.
Yes.
Because this could be a whole nother episode on religion and spirituality. I think that I'll just sum it up by saying that we're going to grow our children up with what we know is the best for them. And if that doesn't work for them when they become an adult, but as we know, when you're in the household, it is what it is. Yeah. And when they become an adult, they will pick and choose. And so as for my family, I was very diverse, and I let them understand we embrace all various religions and traditions, and you pick what resonates with you. So we taught them very much to understand that the basis of all religions is love, and to continue to grow and evolve, and all of us have different avenues, and so you have to pick what resonates with you. However, I'm just going to grow them the best way I know how to grow them with the tools that I had that was accessible to me at this time. And I have a chance to do it all over again because I'm a grandparent. So now I can do it a different way.
Right. Yeah. I can see how being a grandparent is a rebirth of all of that. But even now, you're probably even more sharpened with your tools of how you're gonna, But then you also don't have the pressure of having to deal with them. Like as soon as they get on your nerves, you're like, you know what? Going back with your mom.
Yeah. And so that's why we can go full circle and say that it's a very important job to be a parent.
Yep.
And that we have the ability to break generational curses. And we should try to let our children understand that it's when you having intercourse, it's definitely the opportunity to have a child. And so you have to be conscious off of that. And then are you ready for that? And even if it comes by accidental, unplanned, child, then now you have to start correcting how you think and how you behave, and be conscious that now is not just your life, but it is the child's life. And going back to respecting ourselves, going back to how we represent ourselves. So I think as we wrap this segment up in child parenting and child rearing, that the key thing is to maintain personal development, learn how to communicate with your children, if you're conscious enough, break the generational curses or those things that don't serve you. And really, if we don't have to if we don't have to use the belt on the child, and we can find a way to communicate to them and not create another trauma that we have always been brought up with, then we should also investigate and try the different methods according to our children's personality. So I appreciate this time and honor this space with you all.
You know the honor.
We appreciate you.
And that's how I feel.
That's how you feel, Miss Sharon.
That's how you feel, Miss Sharon.
I love it every time you come on the show. Like,
right.
Thank you.
Definitely with the wealth of knowledge. Definitely want to thank you for being on the show, on the parenting and the family structure. All right.
So, we got our last two segments. So I don't know what is happening with Cuzzo. It's really time. We supposed to
right.
Be with him, but we don't do.
He's having some technical difficulties, so we're actually.
We just gonna go ahead and go to K's final segment.
We're gonna.
My bad. My bad. I'm tapping in with
you. Can you give us 1 or 2 minutes of some conscious thought?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, yes. We can see you now too.
Yeah. All right. So depending on however the family structure is or whatever the situation is, man, the main focus is, and all that we can do is instill as much as we can into these children while they're in that beta stage from 1 to 7, because that's pretty much shaping their whole consciousness and awareness. And most things they learn are going to be through observation and participation. It's not just going to be through you telling them and stuff like that. You have to show them and have them involved in doing these things like that. And then secondary, when you start to notice the tools that your child has, or the skills or the gifts, it's our duty to cultivate that. You know what I mean? And assist them with monetizing that. You see what I'm saying? Like if you got a kid at home,
say that second part of that sentence again.
Yeah, we need to assist these kids with cultivating and monetizing these skills that they have. I mean, if they're sitting at home, if they're 6 years old and they lit playing the game for 8 hours a day, there's no reason they can't have an hour of content, 30 minutes of content, 10 minutes of content. They watching people play the game on the tablet while they're playing the game. And then they got the phone, and they got all these tools
about the game,
and we not telling them like to monetize it, and you know what I mean. So I just bought my daughter a gaming chair. You know what I mean? It's like $300. I'm like, I ain't never seen a kid so hype about a chair. You know what I mean? But I'm like, all right, so you got all the tools. You need to start your own channel. Like, you need to be one of
For the
those
game
people on
channel,
there. Like,
yeah.
you're fire at the
Right.
game.
Exactly. You're
You're
watching people, and
intelligent.
it could be you. Right.
Yeah, you have charisma. You're beautiful. Like, there's no reason this can't be you. Like, if that's
And you can
you know, if
have
that's
your own
something that you want to
you ain't
do,
got to
or you could be
accept.
coding, or if you're in the video games that much, you can start coding and programming, or like both my kids are totally different. You know what I'm saying? Maya, my oldest daughter, she's 21. I had to assist her with like, everything. Like I had to check her homework every single day. Go over the spelling words every single day. You know what I'm saying? I had to like hold her hand the whole time to make her do it because she wasn't made for school like I wasn't. Like I didn't like school. You know what I'm saying? But my youngest, I could see that she's more like, you know what I mean? She's more book smart. You know what I mean? And my
Studio.
oldest is more street
Studio.
smart.
I know what you mean. Right.
Right. So my oldest is a creative. So I focus on that. I say, okay, you're a creative. All right. So now she does art. She does Reiki. She does, if she's good with the money, she do credit. She do this. You
She's
know what I mean? So
amazing. Maya's
cultivate these
amazing.
skill sets, whatever you see it in them early. You know what I mean? Like if you out there getting out the mud, they need to be out there getting it out the mud with you. Like don't be
Yeah.
sheltering them and hiding them from all that stuff, man.
I've been
Like
trying to
let
get
them
Tristan
see
on the
that and
show. Work.
experience that.
All right.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, like
I agree. That's something me and
and
Gail talk about
and
on a regular basis.
and the main way to have that real bond with your child is the main way you can have any relationship, any healthy relationship is built off of trust and respect. So
Yeah.
y'all have to have trust and respect. You know what I mean?
Right.
Open floor dialogue. Y'all can talk about anything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm everything. Like I tell my kids, yeah, I'm your best friend. I'm your guru, your father. I could be your worst enemy. I could be
Right.
your teacher.
Always.
I could be
Always.
your lecturer. I could be
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I could assume all these hats. You know what I mean? It's not just one thing, but everybody has their own parenting styles. But it's just like giving each child and has a different method of dealing with them. You can't just apply the same thing across the board and expect the same result unless you're forcing them all to do something. You're more of an authoritative parent and you're just making them do this. You know what I mean? They're not happy. You know what I mean? You got to help them along the journey because everybody gonna go on their journey. You know what I mean? To tie back with that is religion. You know what I'm saying? How does that affect the family? Like I like to give my kids all the information and then see where they come with it. I want to see what they got with it, and then I can come back and tell them, give them some feedback. I want them to be able to go down that
Mhm.
path the same way I did. Just let them do it earlier. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just up to
Exactly.
it's
Don't want
up
to
for
get
us the
through it
guidance. Yeah, we have to guide these
for
children,
sure.
man. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't just force them and things like
I
that.
will say this, Kev. Let me
Yeah.
say this really quick because Miss Sharon has blessed us with her presence, and Miss Sharon got to get on with us Saturday. Okay, so we want to
Oh, she trying to get
definitely
the
Okay.
hell
thank
on up
you
out of
for
there.
being
That
on the
why she
show.
looking
We can
like that?
continue
Oh,
our
I'm
Okay.
sorry, Miss
conversation.
Shan.
No, that's quite all
We
right.
definitely want to. Thank you so much, Miss Sharon, for coming on the show, the Heart Lady, guys.
All right, Miss Sharon.
Thanks,
Thank
I
you
Miss
so much for
appreciate you,
Sharon.
coming
Miss
on the
Shan.
show.
Thank
We
Yay.
you.
greatly
You
appreciate
drop
it.
Thank
We
gems.
love you
You drop
here.
gems
you.
as usual.
Th- Thank you
All
for
right.
telling
Thank
us how
Peace,
you
you.
love, and
feel
light,
about
Y'all
family.
have a
everything.
wonderful, wonderful divine day.
You
Absolutely.
too.
All
Okay.
You
right.
too,
You
Queen.
too.
Thanks, Miss Sharon.
She got out of here so fast. She was like, whoa, woo, that was
I'm
a
gonna fuck with
long
you.
hour and a half. Well,
Uh,
anyway, guys, that's it. Really, we got Kay's final say, and then we gonna get up out of here. Kay, do your thing, babe. Get us out of here.
All right. So Kay's final say today is this. I think that it is important as far as the family structure is concerned that in your structure you look for a strong foundation. That foundation should be included with love, communication, and understanding. I think that the traditional family structure it exists in so many different forms, but I think that if we do not learn to transform and chameleonize and be who we need to be, then there will be no structure. It's like the story of the three little pigs. The question is, will you try and do a structure that is strong to be able to raise strong children? I think that communication probably would be my number one thing that I think that we all, and y'all know I'm big on the communication thing. I want to do a whole show on communication because I think that a lot of misunderstandings come about because there's not clear communication. Um, and going forward, whether it is you who has a spouse, you have a two-parent household, you are a single father, you are a single mother, you are co-parenting, while cohabiting, whatever the case is, I think that number one is very important in order for you to truly be an effective parent is that you should have a journey and get to know who you are. And in your knowing who you are, getting to know your children and authentically who they would like to be, not who you have tried. Because so many times you hear people say, I didn't raise you like that. But the question is did you really raise them? Or did you allow them to grow based upon the parameters that you gave them? And if they went outside of the parameters that you set, not the ones that you looked and said, you know what, this is this child. I think the heart doctor, she was saying herself, like, I realized I had a cantankerous child. I had one quiet child. But if you don't look and see those different characteristics in your children, you are bound to come into some kind of, headbutting in those situations because you haven't tried to raise the child into who they are and who they were destined to be. And I think that when we don't do that, the problem comes into play. Where I run into is a lot of adults who are still trying to follow the voice of their child while still trying to do what is socially acceptable. And I think that that's when we go back to the fact of children raising children. And I don't mean that in an age wise, I mean that in a literal sense, because these adults have not actually grown up. So they're mimicking things that didn't work for them. And within that, making us have a repeated cycle of people who are lost and don't know who they are. So I think within the structure, definitely you want to make sure you have a strong foundation. And the foundation, again, should be communication, love, and understanding, and definitely respect. And listen to your children. Let them know that their voices matter. And guess what? Their voice can matter without it being disrespectful, not having the wrong tone or anything. But if you don't open the door for that to be able to happen, then you have a child. Yes, they matter. All words matter. But you have a child who's going and talking to another inexperienced child because your friend, I'm venting to you. So you're taking advice from somebody else who can't give you no better advice. But if you have that open communication, then you leave the door open to be able to learn something. Because guess what? Yes, we may be the parents, but you will be surprised what you'll learn from your children if you just are willing to listen. That's Kay's final say. And this is the end of That's How You Feel. And that's how I feel. Another great show, everybody.
Yeah, it was a great show, man.
Yes.
We appreciate all y'all who stayed tuned and watched this this is the longest show we done ever goddamn did. This shit is an hour.
Listen, this one I could have went for a whole part 2 on this one because it was a good. I mean, it's a good message. I think that people need to know that, and I think it's no real book on raising children. It's not every day. It's something different. You have to take it for as it comes. But I think that it's important to have unbiased opinions that can help people, figure some things out, because there's a lot of things you don't hear, so you never even allow to cross your.
Right. Hey, look, and on the flip side, for all my good parents out there, y'all need to don't forget about yourself, man. That's why I always say, man, fuck them kids. It's always good to say fuck them kids too now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta know when
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, but I definitely agree.
You gotta know when
you gotta
know when to say it though.
A balance.
You know what I'm saying?
I just say it all the time.
No, I agree.
Like sometimes, man, because you could be going through everything, man. It don't matter, man. Kid gonna be still walking up to you and be like, they need this, they need that.
Right.
Like,
don't give a damn.
You gotta hold it down. But like every now and again, if you're doing a great job, man, go drop their ass off, man. Fuck them kids. Get out there and live your life, man.
I don't fully disagree with you, kid. But
that's only for the good ones, though. That's only for the good. That's only good for the good parents.
I will say that what I will say is that yes, you should definitely take time to yourself, because if you don't find balance, you will find yourself in chaos, and you'll have a breakdown. That's just facts. That's with anything.
Right. That what I just
But
meant it in that
yeah,
way. Not like all the
yeah,
way, but
yeah,
some just
right,
once in a while.
right.
You gotta say fuck them kids. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
Fuck
no,
the
I don't.
kids,
I
for
ain't gonna.
real.
No,
I'm
Like,
with
I
you,
gotta
you
say
Kiddo,
about
gotta.
this too.
all
You
day.
have. I
I know
disagree.
Shay
I
feel
think
me. I
that
know
you
Shay
have
feel me.
to take a balance, and sometimes you have to take a break, because if you don't take a break, you will break down. That's just a fact.
Right. Right.
But you ain't got to necessarily say if your kids, you just need a break. And guess what? Kids need breaks from us too. So I feel like it
Exactly.
works both ways. And I think that if
Exactly.
we realize that all one day to be adults, they have to blossom, and they have to know, and they have to realize that it is important that you listen to your inner voice, and you do take breaks and time by yourself. So yeah,
That
I
nigga
think I
like
definitely agree with that. You do have to find it, but that's another reason why, as I said before, that it is important to get to know you, because then when you know who you are and you are mindful of how you want to be treated, you are also mindful of how to treat others better.
Right.
facts.
Chuck, man.
You look like
So
Chance, a real
anyway,
Chance of love.
yes, yes, this was a great show, guys. I don't know what Chuck is doing. I think he decided. He said after next week. So the next time that you will see him, he will not have this big hole right here, right in front of
It'll
his
still
face.
be there.
So,
That's the only reason I'm
It'll still
showing
be
y'all like
there.
this, so y'all can soak
so
this
you
in.
know,
Y'all will
It'll be
never
still.
see
He'll have
fit to
some
find my.
excuse. He'll be like, "Oh, I
Y'all will never see me
misunderstood.
like this for the
I
rest
thought I
of
was
my
gonna
life.
get it
Okay,
done."
okay,
so
cuz I see you down there hating. Is that how I point down there where you
Yeah,
at? I see you down. I
they
don't
just
care.
gonna
The next
hey,
time y'all see me, I'm gonna have the bestest smile I ever had ever in my
they just
life.
gonna give
So
you a checkup. They gonna give you a
so
checkup and say you come back 3 months.
so I hope all the best for you, Chuck, when it comes to that. You know, it's the best month to get it done. Of course, it's my birthday this month.
yeah,
Yay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Other
yeah.
than yeah,
yeah,
Libra gang,
don't
happy
be
solar
like that.
No,
return.
I say yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right, y'all,
You
man. I
get
love
that.
y'all, man. It was a great show, guys. Y'all get out here, enjoy y'all Saturday. I'm finna
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace
All
out.
right,
Bye.
y'all.